here, and today I wanted to talk about the movie and the book Dreamcatcher. So I wanted to compare them and talk about the differences and similarities because there are some pretty major differences between the book and the film. So this is the first time that I've ever read the book, but I did grow up watching the movie Dreamcatcher and I've always really enjoyed it. It's kind of a nostalgic horror film for me, and I really wanted to read the book, so I bought it at my local used bookstore. I read it this month, and so I thought I would compare the two because I love doing it. These are my favorite videos to make, I think. So let's get started. First, I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis of both the movie and the book because they are pretty similar up to a certain point, and then we'll go more into the differences between them. So for the synopsis, the story is about four boys, Beaver, Henry, Pete, and Jonesy, who are best friends, have been best friends since childhood. So the book kind of goes back in time and you get to see their experiences as kids and then also as adults as well. And I just love the camaraderie that Stephen King is able to write about in his books. He just writes it so well. It's about the four of them. Every year they go up to this place to go hunting. It is Beaver's father's cabin and they call it Hole in the Wall. They kind of reminisce and talk about old times, and they also go hunting. So this is their 20th year going up, and on this 20th anniversary of them going to this place, they keep talking about their old friend Duddits. Duddits was a child with some developmental issues. They actually saved him from being bullied as a kid. He became their friend and they've kind of hung out with them a lot as a child, but then once they grew up, they've kind of grown apart, but they've been thinking about them a lot and thinking about how they should probably go and visit them. So Duddits has always been really special, and they do talk about how he kind of gave them this ability to really be able to like almost read each other's minds and feel each other's emotions and kind of connect them in a way that they weren't connected before. They called Duddits their Dreamcatcher, which I'm not really 100% sure what that means other than the fact that he connects them all and I guess keeps them safe. There is a lot more explanation of the Dreamcatcher in the book, but I'm still not 100% sure that I fully get the analogy of the Dreamcatcher. They stay at the cabin, they each separate, and they find, so there's like two people here, two people here. They each find a person in the woods that are having a lot of gastrointestinal issues and red patches on their faces. The people at the cabin bring the man in. He ends up leaking blood all over the place, and they find that this worm-like creature has come out of him, which they do deem the shit weasel, and it is a term that is used quite frequently in the book, which is pretty funny. I don't want to give too much away as far as like who dies, who lives, this and that, but I will say that Jonesy comes face to face with an alien, so they are definitely aliens from another planet, and the alien kind of explodes and he absorbs him. The alien is not able to fully take control of his body, like he can use his body, but Jonesy is still in there somewhere and he's still able to warn his friends and talk to his friends. Basically from here on out, they're just on a mission to save the world, to stop Jonesy from putting these shit weasels in the water supply and therefore wreaking havoc on all of the human race. So that is kind of the synopsis of the story. The ending is really different, and so I kind of want to just jump right in and talk about the biggest difference between the book and the film. There are spoilers, just so you know, so if you haven't read the book, you haven't seen the movie, and you're interested in it, just click off now because I'm going to ruin probably both of them for you if you haven't seen or read them. But the biggest difference, I will say, probably from the book to the film, is that Duddits in the film turns out to be an alien. He is not the same species as Mr. Gray or the aliens that have come to the planet, but he kind of looks like a Jar Jar Binks kind of alien. He definitely is some sort of extraterrestrial. At the end, he is able to fight Mr. Gray and kill him. That does not happen in the book. In the book, Duddits' sole purpose is to just lead them to the aliens so that he can save the world. And so there are quite a few differences in relation to this, just based on the way that Mr. Gray interacts and the information that he's trying to find on Duddits and things like that. I was so shocked reading the book. I'm like, wait, Duddits isn't an alien? So very different ending. And also the world is saved by bacon. That's right. So this is another huge difference between the book and the film. and that is that Mr. Grey starts to absorb Jonesy's emotions and almost become human. He's like taking advantage of his emotions and his philosophies and his ideology and his, taste buds, and murder. He likes murder. He really likes using these emotions. He likes getting angry and slamming his fist down, and he likes laughing, and it's very interesting to see. So that, I think, is my favorite part of the book, being able to kind of see this alien take the shape of a body, experience what it's like to be human, and almost want that for themselves. Because he got the taste of bacon, before he reaches the water reservoir to put the shit weasel inside, Duddits makes him hungry for bacon, so he stops and eats a bunch of raw bacon and ends up getting really sick. That allows Henry to be able to catch up with Jonesy. So the world is really saved by bacon. In the book, it's very different. Instead of Mr. Grey and Duddits kind of fighting and then the humans fighting, it's actually Duddits who allows Henry to go into a place inside of Jonesy's mind to where they can find Mr. Grey lying in a hospital bed, and then they just smother him and slit his throat. So very different. I will also say that the movie to me always felt like, growing up, that it was kind of two different films. So you have like the four friends and their journey, and then you kind of have the military and their journey. The only real link there is a man named Owen, and he is in the book too, but I think the book just kind of does a better job at combining all of these so they don't feel like two separate things. And obviously it's already a 2-hour long movie, and the book is like 600 and some odd pages, so I understand why, but I just thought that that's something that I would bring up. I just think that the book just did a great job of combining everything and having everything make a little bit more sense. Also, Kurtz, who is, I think they call him Abraham Curtis in the movie. In the book, everyone knows he's crazy. Like, he's just crazy from day one. He just does crazy shit, and everyone is like always a little bit weary of him. But in the movie, it's more just kind of Owen that goes against him, which I guess is kind of the same in the book too. More people distrust him in the book than the film. Another huge difference is that because the aliens come and land a spaceship near where the base takes place, there's kind of this bubble of telepathy that affects all humans. So even the soldiers that are infected with the virus, which is that red stuff that leaves like rashes. It's a little bit in the movie, and in the book, even some soldiers have that virus. They call it Ripley in the film and the book, but they base it off of the movie Alien, the character in that, so that's why they call it Ripley. I don't think they ever say that in the film though. The soldiers that have Ripley, have the virus, have this like telepathic ability, and so that plays in a lot more in the book as well. Also, a lot more of the virus is talked about in the book, so you get a better sense of like the evolution of these aliens, like where the virus comes into play, where the shit weasels come into play, where the Greys come into play, obviously because it's fucking 600 pages. Oh, another big thing in the book is that it talks about aliens not being how we perceive them. And so at the end of the book, you kind of find out that Mr. Grey isn't even really real. He showed up in an alien form, which is like our perception of extraterrestrials. However, that they don't have a solid form. He's not really ever like a solid alien, if that makes sense. I thought that was really cool. The book is way more psychological than the film is, and so I think they did a pretty good job with what they were given, because it is a lot of like internal monologue, internal dialogue, internal struggles. It is a lot of things that can't really be shown externally, so I think they did a pretty good job. But let me talk about one thing that bothered me about the film. This never bothered me growing up. I watched it when I was pretty young. I mean, this movie came out like 20 years ago or something like that. I really liked this film growing up. But why is Mr. Grey British? It's so weird. I mean, logistically, I get it. They tried to show a difference between Jonesy and Mr. Grey. I understand that. But there's nothing else you could have done to show that an alien was talking other than make him British. It's such a weird choice. I could not get behind it watching this film again. And it's weird too, because there are different things that he does to show that he's an alien. For example, his eyes change colors and stuff. And I think that that would have been enough, or even just like facial expressions changing would have been enough. I don't know that the British accent was necessary. I just can't imagine them being like, we'll just make him British, and everybody that wrote the movie or that was involved in the movie was like, yeah. Seems like a very odd choice to me, but whatever. Oh, the book connects to the movie It, or the book It. Interesting, right? Yeah, there are a few connections to It in there. They talk about the sewer systems in Derry. They come across this monument of the kids in Derry. They do find a kid in the sewers in the film, and my husband goes, wow, what's up with Stephen King and sewers? And I'm like, oh, well, I guess if you read the book, you know that it's actually the same sewer system. Also in the book, I think that the relationship between Mr. Grey and Jonesy's is much more personal. A lot of their dialogue is internal. Mr. Grey does poke around emotions a lot more and his memories a lot more. That aspect of the book I just loved. I thought it was so cool. It was such a cool idea. That being said, in the movie, you get to see Jonesy's memory warehouse, which, by the way, if I ever become a gazillionaire, my library will look like that. Both are fantastic. I love both the film and the movie. No, why do I always say that? I love both the movie and the book. You guys know that I love watching or experiencing the same story in different mediums. So I just love making videos like this. There are some things that aren't in the movie that are in the book. Again, it's 600 pages. I wasn't expecting to see everything. And I don't really think it changes the whole outcome of the story too much. And then I just have a few quotes for you. So these are my favorite quotes from the book. I don't have all of them because I used these guys, and my cat came and took them out of the book because she's an actual demon. But I have a few. So this one I really love. It says, dreams age faster than dreamers, yet the last ones often die surprisingly hard, screaming in low, miserable voices at the back of your brain. And then I just wrote a note that just says, fuck. That's just so sad. This one just says, it was a creepy sound like a ghost trying to remember how to be human. This was when Mr. Grey was laughing in Jonesy's body, and I just thought that that was such an eerie, creepy, amazing line. So I had to share it with you. And then one more line that I really liked. It says, Mr. Grey didn't care much for Jonesy's body, or so he told himself. In truth, it was hard not to feel at least some affection for something capable of providing such unexpected pleasures as bacon and murder. I just thought that was so fantastic. There's a lot of humor in this book as well. And then just one last thing also is I want to say that, so I have a dog. I've showed him before. Okay, so this is Mosley, but we call him Mosley Jones. Like, we gave him a last name. His last name is Jones. By the way, that's not mine or my husband's last name. So we call him Mosley Jones, and then through that we just started calling him Jonesy. And so the guy's name in the book is Jonesy. So every time I talk to him and call him Jonesy, I think of Dreamcatcher. That's obviously has nothing to do with the book, and this video has nothing to do with my dog, but it should because he's adorable. So, hey little Jonesy, are you going to save the world from aliens? I think that was all I wanted to say about comparing these two. A lot of similarities, but the endings are quite different, and I definitely think that you guys, if you do enjoy one or the other, I think the other is good to check out. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you like the book, you'll like the movie. If you like the movie, I think you'll like the book. I think both are really fantastic. However, I did really, really enjoy the book. The only thing I will say is there's like 100 pages at the end where they're just chasing each other down a highway, and that I was just kind of like, come on, let's get to the end, because I started thinking, is that it's not an alien? That's when I started getting like a little bit of fatigue reading the book. I don't read a ton of like 600 pages books very often. I like to shoot through my books in like a week or so. So it was a little challenging to get through 600 pages, but I think that was the only part that I got like reader fatigue on. But other than that, fantastic book. Have you guys read it? Have you guys seen the movie? Which do you like more? Let me know. And also let me know if there are any movie versus book comparisons that you would like to see me make a video on. Yeah. Okay, that's it for today's video. I will see you Tuesday and Thursday with more horror. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.